Lesson 2.3, Net Income and Personal Expenses. The warm-up on the first page, you're going to complete independently. I'm going to start here at the bottom of the first page, Net Income and Personal Expenses. Dahlia graduated from high school last year. She works full-time at a job that pays $10.75 per hour. If she works 40 hours per week, calculate Dahlia's weekly gross income. So $10.75 an hour times 40 hours. So per week she gets paid $430, and that's her gross income. If she works 50 weeks per year, calculate her annual gross income. So remember, annual means yearly. Okay, so we know that there's 52 weeks in 1 year, but it specifically says that she only works 50 weeks. So we're not going to multiply her weekly income by 52. We're actually going to multiply it by 50 because she's only working 50 weeks. 430 times 50 weeks. So her annual gross income is $21,500. Approximately what percent of Dahlia's gross income is her net pay? So recall from last lesson that her net pay is approximately 75% of her gross pay. Okay, so you don't take home your gross income, you take home your net pay or your take-home pay, approximately 75% of your gross income. Okay, so that's important for today's quiz. Okay, this whole question that we're completing right now is important for today's quiz. So make sure that you understand what we're doing because you're going to be asked a similar question on the quiz. And remember, 75%. Dahlia is paid bi-weekly. Estimate her take-home pay. So remember, take-home pay means net, rounded to the nearest dollar. Okay, so bi-weekly, again, that means 2 weeks. So for 1 week, Dahlia is paid $430. So we're going to multiply that by 2 to determine her bi-weekly pay. Okay, and so that's her gross pay. And so to determine her take home, her net, we're going to take our 860 and multiply it by 75% in decimal form. Okay, so that's how much Dahlia is going to be taking home, approximately. Most months, she's paid 2 times. Remember, she's paid bi-weekly, which means every other week. There's approximately 4 weeks in a month. There's a little bit more than 4 weeks in a month besides February, but it's not quite 5 weeks. So every other week in a month is about 2 times she's going to be getting paid. So for 1 pay period, Dahlia is paid $645. And remember, it says that most months she's paid twice. So I'm going to take my 645 and I'm going to multiply it by 2 pay periods, which is equal to $1,290. There are some months where she can get paid 3 times, depending on which day your pay day falls on. Okay, so there could be a 3rd pay period in a month. So for 2 pay times, she's getting paid that much. So I'm going to add on 1 more pay period. So remember, she gets paid $645 for 1 pay period. Okay, so 1,290 plus 1 more pay period. $1,935. Explain the differences in your answers in part E. Okay, so we talked about how some months you get paid twice, and this is how much you're going to get paid. Some months you get paid 3 times, and this is how much you're going to get paid. So the difference here is $645, one pay period. Let's take the month of February. In February, there are exactly 28 days, minus if it's a leap year. So there's exactly 4 weeks in the month of February. So if you get paid on, let's say, a Friday, so there are 4 Fridays in the month of February this year, and Dahlia's getting paid bi-weekly, so every other Friday. So if she gets paid the first Friday, which is the 5th, she won't get paid again until the 19th. Okay, so there's only 2 pay periods in this month that Dahlia is getting paid. We're going to continue on with the example of getting paid on a Friday. Counting the number of Fridays in April, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so if Dahlia gets paid on the 2nd of April, that's 1 pay period. And then bi-weekly, 2 Fridays later, and then bi-weekly 2 Fridays later. So she's getting paid on the 2nd, the 16th, and the 30th. That's 3 times. Okay, so some months you're only going to get paid twice, and other months you're going to get paid 3 times. Okay, and this pertains to if you're paid bi-weekly. Okay, so I'm just going to write this down in part F. Having that third payment in some months can really help pay some bills. So it is important to plan ahead and record your pay days so that you're able to allot your money towards certain essential costs. Question 2. Jamil bought a car. List the types of car-related expenses that he probably has to pay. Circle the expenses that do not change month by month. Okay, so when you buy a car, you have to fill that car up with gas. If you're driving it to work, you probably have to pay for parking, or depending if where you live, you may have to park your car on the street. Okay, once in a while, your car is going to need an oil change. In the winter, it's important to purchase winter tires. And so not only do you have to buy the tires, but you also have to send it in for service for a professional to change your tires from summers to winters and vice versa. And of course, most importantly is car insurance. You can't buy a car unless you have insurance for it. And so I would say that out of all of these, what doesn't change month by month is your car insurance payments. So we already talked about this, but if he's paid 3 times in a month, then he has a little bit more wiggle room to spread out his money and pay for these above car payments. If he only has 2 payments in a month, then he really needs to make sure that he is conscious about what he's spending his money on. All right, let's move on to question 3. Brainstorm as many types of expenses as you can think of that you or your family must pay. All right, well, first and foremost, we need to eat to survive. So groceries. We all live in a home, so we need insurance for our home. If you own a car, you also need car insurance. If you have a car, you need to pay for gas. If you don't drive, you also need to top up your Presto card. If you do have a car, it needs to go in for service once in a while. Again, you have to pay to park your car. To live in your home, you either are paying a mortgage or you're paying rent. And we have phones, and cable and internet bills. And if you don't have cable, maybe you have Netflix or another type of subscription. You need to pay your water bill, your electricity, gas bills. Sometimes you need service in your house, so home maintenance. Things break or expire and you need it fixed in your house. Sometimes you want an upgrade, so you renovate your home. If it's not a pandemic world, we all have social events to attend, and that could be pretty expensive. Going out for dinner with friends is expensive. Attending a family member's birthday party, you have to show up with a gift. You have to pay for a gift. To attend these social events, you buy new clothes. Okay, and other interests that you may have, maybe in entertainment, like going to a concert. So essential expenses are not optional. So that's why they're called essential. Your groceries is an essential expense. Non-essential expenses are expenses that you actually don't really need. They're optional. Okay. So for example, you don't need to go to a concert. You don't need new clothes. Classify your expenses from number 3 as either essential or non-essential. Okay, so we talked about how groceries are essential. And you need insurance. That's essential. Sometimes your car breaks down, so car maintenance, I would say, is essential. You can't drive a broken car. And you have to fill up your car with gas in order for it to drive, or you need to buy your Presto card or top up your Presto card in order for you to commute. And you have to pay your mortgage or your rent in order to live in your home. Your home bills are also essential. You need water and power in order to stay warm and to stay safe. And like I already said, sometimes things will break in your house and you need them in order to stay safe, like your furnace can break or a faucet is leaking. Those sort of things need to be taken care of. Non-essential expenses. Okay, well, we don't need a Netflix subscription. We don't need to renovate our house if everything is working and everything is safe. That's, an addition to living, is updating the look of our house. Socializing, new clothes, and entertainment are all optional. Fixed expenses are the same amount each week or month. They generally are paid at the same time each week or each month. Rent is an example of a fixed expense. We know that rent payment is coming. It occurs on the same day and every month, and it's the same amount. A variable expense are expenses that usually change. Your social events and entertainment events, those vary according to what event you're going to and how frequently you go. So those are variable expenses versus the fixed expenses mentioned previously. Okay, so fixed expenses are your insurances. Okay, so those are usually the same month by month. Your gas and your Presto top up are usually about the same every month because on Monday to Friday you're commuting the same distance. So it's just your weekends that could vary, but I'm just going to put it under fixed expenses. And your mortgage or rent is the same every month. Also, your home bills. Are usually about the same. Most plans come with unlimited local calls and unlimited local texting. And most homes have unlimited Wi-Fi. So we're usually with these home services, they're usually the same price every month because we're not going overboard. Variable expenses, I would say groceries they vary. They're not always the same amount each week. Your car maintenances change depending on if you just need an oil change or if there's something really wrong, like you need a new transmission, or if you're changing your tires, that could vary. Your water bill can vary. In the summertime, if you're watering your grass, that will increase your water bill. The electricity will vary as well if you're home and the lights are on, or if you're using appliances more, that'll affect your electricity bill. In gas, usually in the winter, your gas bill is higher because you have your furnace on. Home maintenance will also vary according to month, depending on what's broken in your house. Social events vary. New clothes, how often are you buying clothes? That will vary. And entertainment. How often are you going to a concert? How often are you purchasing entertainment items? Okay, so we also have check your understanding. There's 2 questions there for you to try. Please reference my answer key to make sure that you have the correct answers. And you can always message me if you have any questions. Make sure that you complete today's quiz.